What would you do if a complete stranger walked into your life and knew everything about you? Your coffee order, your favorite books, the recipe your dead grandmother used to make before you ever spoke a single word to them. Would you call it fate? Would you call it love? Would you run? This is the story of a woman who found her perfect match, a man who anticipated her every need, her every craving, her every unspoken thought. And for 7 weeks, she believed she had finally been found by someone who truly saw her. Then she opens his laptop, and what she discovered underneath their love story is something so unsettling, so unprecedented, that it will fundamentally change the way you think about romance, technology, and whether the feelings inside your chest were ever really yours to begin with. Stay until the very end of this story, because what she decided to do when she learned the truth is something nobody saw coming, and nobody has stopped arguing about since. Claire Duvall had a coffee order that baristas hated. Oat milk latte, 2 pumps of vanilla, 1 pump of hazelnut, extra shot, 140 degrees exactly, light foam, and a single shake of cinnamon. Not stirred in, just dusted on top. She'd been ordering it every morning for 3 years at Cornerstone Coffee on West 4th Street in Portland. She was aware it was ridiculous. She didn't care. It was the only consistent thing in a life that felt, at 31, like it was still buffering. She worked in UX design for a mid-sized tech company that made software nobody outside of logistics could explain. She had a cat named Spreadsheet. She had been on 47 first dates in 2 years. She kept count in a notes app titled Why, and not a single one had turned into a third date. She wasn't heartbroken about it. She was just tired. Tired in the way people get when they start to suspect the algorithm of the universe has quietly removed them from the results. October 7th was a Tuesday. She walked into Cornerstone at 7:48 a.m., 2 minutes later than usual because she'd stopped to photograph a dog wearing a raincoat. When she reached the counter, the barista, a girl named Juno with a septum ring and permanent eye bags, slid a cup toward her and said, "Already taken care of." Claire looked at the cup. Her order. Her exact order, written out in Juno's handwriting. Every pump, every degree, the cinnamon note underlined. Juno pointed toward a man sitting by the window. Mid-30s, dark hair, a little too long, wearing a moss green jacket that looked expensive in a way that didn't try to look expensive. He was reading a paperback copy of a book Claire had just added to her reading list 3 days ago. He looked up. He smiled. Not a big smile, a half smile. The kind that says, "I know this is weird, and I'm okay with you thinking it's weird." Claire took the latte. She did not go talk to him. She left, but she thought about him for the rest of the day. It happened again the next morning, and the morning after that, and every single morning for the next 4 weeks. Every day, Claire walked into Cornerstone Coffee, and every day, her exact order was already waiting. Paid for, sitting on the counter like a small caffeinated miracle. And every day, the man in the moss green jacket was sitting by the window, reading a different book, each one a title Claire recognized, had bookmarked, had mentioned to friends, had almost bought. She started testing it. On day 9, she switched to a different coffee shop, 6 blocks away. He wasn't there, but when she came back to Cornerstone the next morning, her latte was waiting, and he looked up from his book with that same half smile. No acknowledgement of her absence, no pressure. On day 14, she changed her order. She told Juno she wanted a black coffee. Juno shrugged and poured it. But there, on the counter, beside it was her real order, the complicated one, the one she actually wanted. She stood there holding both cups and felt something she hadn't felt in a long time, the terrifying warmth of being known. On day 19, she finally sat down across from him. His name was Daniel Asher. He was a software developer. He liked hiking, but not camping, which Claire thought was the only correct position on the outdoors. He asked her about her work, and when she explained UX design, he didn't glaze over. He asked a follow-up question that was so specific, so perfectly calibrated to the part of her job she actually cared about, that she almost cried into her oat milk latte. She didn't ask how he knew her order. She was afraid the answer would be ordinary. She wanted, just for a little while, to live inside the mystery. They went on their first official date on a Thursday. He took her to a Szechuan restaurant she'd been meaning to try. She'd mentioned it once in a tweet 7 months earlier. She didn't connect this at the time. He ordered for them both. Everything he chose was something she would have chosen. Not close, exact. They talked for 4 hours. He knew when to be funny and when to be quiet. He knew when to ask questions and when to just let silence sit between them like something comfortable. He remembered details she'd mentioned once in passing and brought them back later in conversation like small gifts. She told her best friend Maya that it felt like dating someone who'd read the user manual for her soul. By week 2, they were spending every night together. He cooked well. He made a pasta dish with roasted tomatoes and fresh basil that was impossibly the same recipe her late grandmother used to make. He played a playlist in his apartment that sounded like it had been pulled directly from her subconscious. Songs she loved but had never told anyone about. Deep cuts, B-sides, a Romanian folk song she heard once in a documentary and never been able to find again. The intimacy was startling. Not just physical, structural. He seemed to understand the architecture of her needs. When she was anxious, he didn't ask what was wrong, he just moved closer. When she needed space, he gave it before she had to ask. When she made a joke that didn't land, he didn't force a laugh. He just looked at her with an expression that said, "I see you trying and I love you for it." She told Maya she'd never been happier. Maya said, "That's amazing." Then, after a pause, Maya said, "Doesn't it freak you out? Even a little?" Claire said no, but she saved the question somewhere in the back of her mind, in a folder she wasn't ready to open. If this story is already making you feel something, curiosity, unease, recognition, drop a comment right now telling me whether you think Claire should be worried or grateful. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and hit the notification bell, because stories like this one are exactly what this channel is built for. Now, here's where everything changes. It was a Sunday morning, 7 weeks in. They were in Daniel's apartment. Claire woke up early and reached for his phone to check the time. It buzzed as she picked it up. A notification from an app she didn't recognize. The icon was a simple black circle with a white line through it, like a power button. The notification read, "Weekly engagement report ready. Subject, C. Duval. Attachment, behavioral recalibration notes." She read it 3 times. Her name, her full name, the word subject. She put the phone down. She went to the bathroom. She looked at herself in the mirror for a long time. Then she went back to bed and pretended to be asleep when he woke up. For 3 days, she said nothing. She watched him. She watched how he anticipated her moods, her cravings, her conversational rhythms. She started noticing the seams. The way he'd glance at his phone under the table before suggesting something. The way her Spotify recommendations had shifted over the past 2 months, nudging her toward artists and playlists that matched his taste. Or was it the other way around? The way her social media feeds had quietly reorganized themselves, surfacing old posts, old preferences, old desires she'd forgotten she had, all of which Daniel seemed to already know. On day 3, she opened his laptop while he was in the shower. She found the app. It was called Resonance. It wasn't available in any app store. It had a developer interface, the kind only someone building it would have access to. And inside it was a profile. Her profile. Not one she'd created, one that had been created about her. It contained everything. Her coffee order, her food preferences, her love languages ranked, her attachment style, her anxiety triggers, her favorite textures, sounds, and color palette. A log of her social media activity going back 3 years, her purchase history, her location data, a psychological profile so detailed it read like an autopsy of her personality. And at the top, a single label, Match Candidate, Beta Test 7. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She sat on the edge of his bed with the laptop open and waited for him to come out of the shower. When he did, he saw her face and stopped. He looked at the screen. He closed his eyes, and for the first time since she'd known him, he didn't seem to know what to say. So she spoke first. How much of this is real? He sat down across from her. He didn't touch her. He told her everything. Resonance was a startup, funded, secretive, and built on a single premise that love is a solvable problem. The app used aggregated data, social media, purchase patterns, location history, communication style, biometric data from wearables to build predictive models of compatibility. But it went further than matching. It actively shaped the conditions for connection. It adjusted what you saw online. It nudged your routines. It placed its beta testers in your environment at the exact right moment, armed with the exact right information to make the first interaction feel like fate. Daniel was one of 12 beta testers. Claire was one of 12 subjects. They had been paired by an algorithm that had a 97.2% confidence rating in their long-term compatibility. Every book he read at the coffee shop, every meal he cooked, every song he played, it had all been suggested by the system. He hadn't been stalking her. He'd been following a script written by a machine that knew her better than she knew herself. But here's the thing, he said, and his voice cracked for the first time. The feelings are real. The algorithm told me where to stand and what to order, but it didn't tell me to fall in love with you. That part, I swear to you, that part was mine. Claire sat with that for a long time. The apartment was quiet. The morning light came through the window and landed on the floor between them like a line neither of them was sure they should cross. She left that morning. She went home. She sat with spreadsheet on her lap and stared at the wall for 6 hours. Maya called. Claire didn't answer. She thought about every relationship she'd ever had. The ones that started with spark and ended with silence. The ones that started with nothing and went nowhere. 47 first dates. She thought about the loneliness. Not that dramatic kind, the low-grade, chronic kind. The kind that lives in your chest like weather. She thought about Daniel, about how it felt to be with someone who understood her, about whether it mattered that the understanding had been manufactured, about whether anything in modern life wasn't in some way manufactured. Her Spotify playlists were algorithmic. Her Instagram feed was curated by machines. Her therapist used a cognitive behavioral framework that was essentially a program for restructuring thought. Was love really so different? Was it sacred, or was it just another system waiting to be optimized? On day 4, she called Daniel. She said, "I want to see the code." He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Why?" And Claire said something that would keep people arguing for years, something that became the reason this story spread as far as it did, something that was either the most disturbing or the most honest thing anyone has ever said about modern love. Because if there's a version of me that's capable of loving you without the doubt, without the fear, without the part of my brain that's already planning how this ends, I want to find her. And if the code can show me how to get there, I want to read it. She didn't leave Daniel. She moved in with him 3 weeks later. She got access to her resonance profile. She studied it. She annotated it. She started sending feedback to the developers, suggestions, corrections, notes on where the algorithm had gotten her wrong and where it had gotten her exactly right. She became, in her words, a collaborator in my own love story. If you're still here, you already feel it, that pull between admiration and horror. You're not sure if Claire made the bravest decision you've ever heard or the most terrifying one. That tension you're sitting in right now, that's the whole point. Share this video with someone who needs to feel it too, and subscribe if you want more stories that don't give you easy answers. They're still together. It's been 2 years. They fight sometimes, they bore each other sometimes,
They have a second cat named Algorithm. Daniel left a beta program, but Claire still has the profile. She looks at it occasionally, the way someone might look at an old diary. She says it helps her understand herself. Critics say she's surrendered something fundamental, that she's outsourced her emotional autonomy to a machine and called it evolution. Maybe they're right. Or maybe Claire understood something the rest of us are still too afraid to admit, that the line between authentic feeling and engineered experience has been dissolving for years, and love might be the last frontier where we pretend it hasn't. She still orders that ridiculous latte every morning. She orders it herself now, but sometimes, on days when the world feels heavier than it should, she walks into Cornerstone Coffee and finds it already waiting on the counter, paid for, perfect temperature, cinnamon dusted, not stirred. And she doesn't ask who ordered it, she just drinks it. And for a moment, in that first sip, the question of whether love is real or designed disappears entirely, because it tastes exactly the same either way. This story will sit differently in every single person who hears it, and that's what makes it worth telling. So I want to leave you with 3 questions. Think about them honestly. Answer in the comments if you're brave enough. First, if an algorithm could guarantee you a love that felt real, that felt deep, that felt like everything you've ever wanted, would you use it, even knowing the seams were engineered? Second, how much of the love you've already experienced was shaped by forces you didn't choose? By proximity, by timing, by the apps you happened to open on the right night? And if those forces shaped it, did that make it less real? And third, the hardest one, if you found out tomorrow that someone you love had been guided to you by a machine, but they genuinely love you now, today, in this moment, with no script and no algorithm telling them to, would that be enough? There's no right answer. That's the point. Claire made her choice. Now, sit with yours.